Professional Development Center, which is our career services office on campus. Today, I'm going to be talking about how first and second year students can best engage with our career services office and the SPDC. I do encourage you to put any questions that you have in the chat box. I am managing the controls alone, so if a question comes up that I don't address immediately, please know that I will address it at the end of our conversation and make sure, hopefully, that I've covered every question that would be good for the general audience over the course of our conversation and definitely at the end. If there's a question specific to your student, I will put my email address in the chat box. You're welcome to email me and I'll make sure that I can answer your question, or if there's a member of our team who can best answer that question, we'll make sure your question is answered. So we're going to go ahead and get started and talk about how you can jumpstart your professional career if you're a first or second year student at Elon University. First, I'll give a nice little overview of our office to help you guys understand how we work. We are a centralized career services office, which means the Student Professional Development Center provides services to the entirety of campus. We have our main location, which you've probably seen in the Mosley Center, right here across from the help desk. That's where I'm at today. We also have a satellite office in our School of Communications, a satellite office in our School of Business, and a career advisor who sits in athletics. We also hold drop-in hours at a variety of our different locations across campus of partner departments, our identity offices like Creed or El Centro. We hold drop-in hours in our new STEM building, and really we try to make sure that we're covering campus as much as we can to meet students where they're at. So the services that we render have been well received across campus and with our students and alumni. We're currently ranked number 15 in the Princeton Review and number 8 in internships for the U.S. News and World Report. What's interesting and what we like to highlight these numbers for is because the Princeton Review is given to us by our students and alumni who say that we're meeting their needs. And the U.S. News and World Report talks about how internships really is a culture and a part of the language at Elon University. And it's mandatory in our professional schools, in the School of Business and School of Communications. And for some majors in the College of Arts and Sciences, it's a part of a graduation requirement, but it's always highly encouraged in all of our schools. I'd love to hear from you in the chat box. If you're able to, I think you can chat. If not, you can put it in the Q&A. I'd love to hear where you're from. That'll help to guide some of the conversation today. So that I can, somebody raise their hand here, so that I can provide information that might be pertinent to you or to your student. So if you're from an area and you can drop in where you're from or where you're at currently, that would be great. I asked that question because, let me get this going here. I asked that question because corporate and employer relations at Elon University is a little bit different than it is at traditional schools or other schools that I've been at prior to Elon. Vast majority of our students are from out of state. So we know that our students are going to metropolitan areas post-graduation that are not directly right here in North Carolina. So you'll see there our top markets are New York, Boston, Charlotte, DC, and Raleigh in that order. So we have an entire team of corporate and employer relations professionals who travel for a living. Every month they go into one of our top or growing markets, and they're talking to employers, they're pulling jobs and internships back to campus. They're understanding what those employers' needs are, and they're bringing that information to our career advisors so our career advisors can best help to advise students who are pursuing those opportunities. It's a really neat relationship with employer relations going out and finding out the information, finding those jobs and internships, building relationships with employers, and then bringing that information back to campus for our career advisors, for our students, for our faculty, and our administrators. So we're kind of the bridge between the world that students are in here at Elon and the world that they're going into. And it's imperative that our corporate and employer relations teams travel to gather the information that we need to make sure our students are successful. So what does that look like on the student side, which is probably what you're most interested in? We have over half of our team at the Student Professional Development Center is career advisors, our career advisors. So they are working with students one-on-one every single day. And we're going to talk about what that could look like for a first year or second year student in a couple of minutes. But that career advising really covers everything to do with professional development. It might start with a resume. It might start with a conversation about what do they want to major in, but as it's moving into a job and internship search. How do I network? What does an interview look like? What does an informational interview look like? Or how can I secure on-campus employment to help gain skills, allow me to earn some money while I'm here on campus and also build my professional reputation. So if it has to do with their professional development, our career advisors are going to work with them on that. We also have a career advisor that's focused on graduate school and students who want to pursue graduate school post-graduation. The deck, I can absolutely send the deck out after. That's a question that came up. I'm happy to send the deck out to Will and the parent engagement team, and they'll help to share it with you all. And I love seeing where you all are from. A lot of these areas that we're seeing up the Eastern Seaboard are our core areas for corporate and employer relations work. That work is also in Los Angeles, in Denver, in Chicago, down in Texas, and in Florida. So we really cover a great deal of the nation where we're going out and doing that corporate and employer relations work. And our career advisors are doing a great job of helping our students be prepared for that next step post-graduation while they're here at Elon. I started out as a career advisor when I started at Elon. It is still my favorite thing to do on campus, is to talk with students and hear more about where they're going in their life and what their goals are for their futures. Just to give you an idea of what this kind of work looks like in outcomes, this is the class of 2023, 9 months post-graduation. 84% of them are in full-time employment, 14% enrolled in graduate school, and 87% of them completed an internship prior to graduation. This is consistent with what we've seen in the past and what we expect for your students as they go into graduation in a couple of years. Is we really emphasize not only that they find a great opportunity, whether it's in a graduate school or in industry, but that they find a opportunity that's a right fit for them. So I want to highlight that 95% number on this page that we're looking at together. We asked the question in our first destination survey is, not only do you have a job or have you been accepted into graduate school, but is the job or is the graduate school the right job for you right now? Is it the position that's related to your career goals and where you see yourself in the future? Because as many of us know, there's a difference between a job and the job that's a good fit for me, the skills I want to develop, and where I want to see myself in the future. So that percentage is really important to us. We really care about the students finding a good launching point for themselves post-graduation instead of just any launching point, because there's a big difference between the two. And we take that difference seriously at the Student Professional Development Center. And you'll see there for the class of 2023, 96% of them are in an opportunity that they're excited about and kind of launching their careers in a positive way. And another 2% of those students are traveling. So when they come back from their travels, we do offer career services for a lifetime, and we'll be happy and excited to help them pick up maybe where they left off before they traveled and find that next step that's going to be the right fit for them. So kind of that's your general overview of the Student Professional Development Center, how we work. What's unique also about the SPDC is I came from a large state institution. I've now been at Elon for 9 years, and the size of our team at Elon is the exact same size of the team that I came from at a large state institution. So we're really resourced to be able to help students build relationships and meet them where they're at and be able to work with them over the course of their time at the university, rather than just one time when they come in for a resume review or one time when they want to talk about that interview. But what we enjoy the most is to work with them over the course of their time at Elon, making sure that they're moving forward in the way that they strive to be in regards to their professional development. So that's what we're going to jump into right now. Is what does first year engagement look like at the SPDC, and what do we encourage students to do so that you can encourage your student, whether they're currently a first year or will be a second year next year, to engage with us. Just so you know, over 90% of our Elon 1010 classes visit the SPDC, or they came into the SPDC this past fall. We invite them into the office so that they see where we're at, get a feel for who we are, and see that we're not an intimidating place for them to come to. We want to take away that intimidation factor, especially with our first year students, because oftentimes when they think about career, it feels a bit daunting, and it's not something that they are really ready to talk about. And we want to encourage them through those Elon 1010 classes that they don't have to have it figured out, that we're a center and a place where they can come to figure everything out. I often say to first year students and families, you can come in and say, I don't know where to start, and we're going to help you take that first step. So we want to see them in the Elon 1010 class. We do have a career exploration and education class. This is a 1 credit elective. It's called CAE. 33110, and it's an exploring yourself in careers. So if you're working with a student who is undecided, or if a student is just more of an exploratory student, trying to figure out what their major might look like, what that major could look like in a career, whether that's an industry or other areas, this is a great class for them to take. It's, like I said, 1 credit. They can take it in the fall or the spring, and learn a bit more about how to explore themselves in career, complete some assessments, and really dig into what a career might look like for them. So this is open to all students, all years. It's really beneficial, I think, for first, second year students, or even juniors who are still determining where they might see themselves in the future. And we do have a dedicated first year career advisor. So you'll see Cameron there. Cam is just a warm, welcoming person. She oversees student employment on campus. So she helps to run our student employment fair, helps to students who are looking for on-campus student employment, and first year students. It's nice that she has that combination, because many of our most eager students that are looking for student employment opportunities are first year students, or students that are early in their career at Elon. So she sees some overlapping students, one that just want to come in for some career assistance for being a first or second year, but also who are looking maybe for student employment opportunities. So if a student's looking for a person to meet with in their first year right now, and you want to make sure they meet with a career advisor before they leave for the semester, Cam would be a great person for them to meet with. They can make an appointment quickly and easily by signing up for that appointment on the Elon Job Network, which is our job and internship database. It's also where we manage all of our appointments, and students have 24/7 access to make an appointment, to search for jobs and internships, and look at on-campus jobs on that tool. So it's a great tool for everybody to use, but especially for early students to get comfortable with. I want to mention the College to Career program. Many people don't know about this program, or many families haven't heard about this program. This is a tracked program that we encourage students to engage with. We've created 4 pathways that students can complete while they're here at Elon. If they complete all 4, they'll receive, as you can see there, a credential that they can add to their LinkedIn, that they can put on their resume. But what's most important in those pathways is we've helped to define for a student kind of what they could do and what would be best for them to do each year that they're at Elon, right? So the first pathway would ideally be in the first year. If it's not, that's absolutely okay. But if a student is eager and professionally minded, we'd love for them to complete this pathway in the first year. And it's building their college resume. Right? They come in with a high school resume, which typically I call the list. A lot of high school resumes are multiple pages long, and they have a list of all the things the student has been engaged with prior to coming to Elon. That's a great list to start with, but we want to turn that list into a college resume, to a 1-page impactful document that starts to look like a professional resume that they're going to use in the future. So that's why it's incorporated into the first pathway, because we'd like to see a first-year student build that college resume, whether it's for an on-campus job or whether it's just to start that professional development process. We will assist them with creating a LinkedIn profile, right? Building that first LinkedIn profile, understanding what to put on the profile, what not to put on the profile. We don't need it to be substantial at this point in their professional development, but we do want them to have one, because we want them to start learning how to use LinkedIn to their benefit, to see what other Elon alumni in their field of study are doing post-graduation, to potentially even making a networking contact, or even if it's just connecting with their career advisors, other students on campus, and faculty. It helps to get them engaged in the software and in the site, and more familiar with what LinkedIn can do for them in the future. We have a really neat tool for our Explorer students. I particularly love to meet with these students and talk with our career team about these students, those that are really wide open on what they want to do and where they see themselves in the future. Sometimes it helps to give them a couple of tools, resources, to give them kind of a structure with which to explore what different careers could look like. One of those tools, we have a tool called "What Can I Do with This Major?" I'll make sure to send it over to Will with the slide deck, but it is a great tool that's actually nationally used, that provides them with kind of information on how majors are used post-graduation. So if I'm a psychology major, what are the options for me? Now, it's not all inclusive. There's options that go way beyond what can I do with this major talk about, but at least gives them, like I said, a little bit of that structure to say, oh, I like everything I see under the sociology major as potential careers. That makes it more interesting to me. Or what I thought was going to be under the exercise science major as options is different. How do I feel about that? Is that something that I'm excited about, or is that something that makes me less interested in that major, right? Oftentimes students think major means career. And we know, those of us who worked in a variety of different industries or in a variety of different areas, that major becomes less and less important as you move through your career. It's really the skills that you're bringing to the table, the hard skills, soft skills, and the passion and motivation you have for the job or the opportunity that's in front of you. That's going to be the differentiator, especially as you become more of a proven professional. But we want students to be considering their major options in that first year. For those students or parents and families of students who haven't chosen a major in the first year, that's absolutely where they need to be. It's developmentally where they need to be. If students have already selected a major, that's okay as well. In any given year, between 50 to 60% of students change a major early in their college career. So it's okay if they change a major. That's what's beautiful about the core curriculum and the liberal arts, is it provides students with the opportunity to explore a couple of different types of classes and areas of study before locking into that major. So from a first year standpoint, we'd love for them to build that college resume, create a LinkedIn profile, and explore major options and see what those might look like for them. All right, so now I'm going to jump into second year, which I'm guessing a lot of you are second year families. How would we like to see our second year students engage? We want them, having had hopefully built that first year resume, we want them to update the resume, get into the practice of understanding that this is a working document, that it's never finished. As you know, resume is something you should always have on hand and always have updated, and we want to instill that way of being while they're here as students. We also want them with that to update their LinkedIn profile. So at this point, we want the LinkedIn profile to look like something that they would be comfortable sharing with an alum, or comfortable sharing with a potential job opportunity or professional point of contact. So that means it needs to have a picture. We do free professional photos throughout the day. There's a couple of dates here on this slide because we try to pull them in with dates and making them feel like it's special. They can get their professional photos on these dates, but really, if any student walks in and says, I'd like to take a professional photo today, I'm dressed up because I had to do a presentation in class, that professional photo will be completed that day, and then they can update it on their LinkedIn so that they are up to date professional photo, and it looks as it should on LinkedIn. It doesn't look like a high school picture that they created into a professional photo, but looks nice and professional for the platform. We'd really, at this point, if they haven't made an appointment with a career advisor, we'd love for them to make an appointment with a career advisor. If they haven't selected a major, they'll work with a wide variety of advisors here in our main office. If they have selected a major, they might work with an advisor within their respective school. As I mentioned earlier, we have the main office here in the Mosley Center, but satellite offices in the School of Business and the School of Communications. So if they've already declared their major in one of those two schools, they'll meet with an advisor in one of those two offices to start to dive into their major and what that major might look like in a career, and really start to tailor that resume and LinkedIn towards the area of their study. Sophomores, this would be our second year students, would be a great time to start exploring potential internships. It's a little bit tricky for second year students because not all of them have really completed a lot of major heavy courses yet, right? So they may not have a great deal of knowledge about their major. They may have just declared their major and they haven't picked up a robust skill set in their major yet. So when I talk about internships, the second summer after second year, smaller opportunities are great, right? If it's looking at industry, small and mid-sized industry, organizations are fantastic, potentially even going back home and looking at smaller businesses and organizations that are closer to home. Once you get into junior year, in the summer after junior year, that's when the larger organizations are really pipelining those junior students, hoping to potentially look at them for future opportunities as they look at forward to graduation. So if you have a really eager second-year student that wants to make sure they get an internship, if they're looking at some of the larger internships with big organizations, they might be competing against juniors for those same internships. There are other organizations that have early identification programs. These are fantastic for first and second year students, right? Their early identification programs are programs where the organization has said, we want to meet you, first year students, second year students, during a webinar, during an information session, at a recruiting event, or even hire you for a first or second year internship to introduce you to our organization. Right? What they're trying to do is help the student learn a bit more about the organization, and they're learning more about the student. It's also great early recruiting for them, especially if they're working in a competitive marketplace that really has a hard time finding great talent or is competing against other large organizations for great talent. So we post all different types of early identification programs on the Elon Job Network. We market them out to students who would be eligible for them and encourage them to engage in those early identification programs. They can engage oftentimes through applying, they can engage through attending webinars, which are almost all virtual and very easy to attend, or information sessions on campus to start to learn about employers and opportunities early. So that'll help to solidify their thinking on what they're majoring in, or learn more about something that they're considering but don't know a lot about. Let's say a student is an exercise science major and they thought about going into athletic training and they thought about what that means for graduate school. Wouldn't it be exciting if they were able to sit in on a panel or an information session with somebody who's an athletic trainer who talks a little bit about their career, how they got there, and what they did to get there. Those are the experiences that we would love for our first and second year students to have, just to expose them to as much as possible about future careers that they might move into. By their second year, they're selecting a major, and ideally it would be great if they can complete an informational interview, right? And this informational interview doesn't have to be an intimidating process. It could be of a friend or a parent of a friend, but really starting to engage in professional conversations where they learn more about the person, the career, the job opportunity, and are practicing asking those questions and presenting themselves in a professional manner. The nice thing about the informational interview is it's a low stakes, high reward type of engagement, right? Typically the interviewer or the person being interviewed will know that this is a first or second year student, that they're new to this process, and have that in mind when having the conversation. But the student can learn a great deal from the process and get all this wonderful information and a networking contact out of the process, which is of high benefit to them. And hopefully they can keep that networking contact up throughout their career. So I'm going to take a moment to pause and look at a couple of these questions as we jump into kind of overall how we would love to see your first and second year students engaging with our office. So career advisors are available during the summer months. We work 12 months of the year, all year round. So if a student is here for the summer, we'd love to meet with them. We also offer career advising virtually. So we're very happy to meet with a student over Zoom, which is a lot of the work that we do over the summer. The neat thing is with students that are studying abroad, because that might be a question that comes up a lot for you all, is when they're studying abroad, can they receive our services? Yes, we work with students that are studying abroad as well. They will obviously engage with us through virtual means, typically through Zoom, and we make sure that they're paying attention to the time difference between where they're at and where we're at. And making sure that they're scheduling the appointment at a time that works for both time zones. So we are engaging with them throughout the summer and while they're abroad as much as we possibly can. We are an opt-in resource on campus, so students find us. We do a lot to market ourselves out to students. As I mentioned earlier, we have the satellite offices in our professional schools. We hold drop-in hours across campus, and we're lucky to have great partners in our faculty. So students will often see us in the classroom when faculty invite us in to do workshops and presentations on everything from a resume to a job search, internship search, networking, and LinkedIn. Really, if it has to do with professional development, we've done a presentation in the classroom, and that's a great way for students to see us as well and be reminded that we're here for them. So the other question came up. We've got a couple psychology questions here. Some really neat opportunities for psychology majors that when somebody posted there was no jobs for psychology. Psychology has a bunch of different types of opportunities that are presented to it. If a student wants to go on to be a psychologist, they're going to pursue graduate school, which we have a graduate school career advisor, happy to help them with the application process. But let's say that they don't know if they want to be a psychologist yet, right? Let's say that they're still learning about how they want to use that degree. We have a wide variety of ways that they can utilize that degree, whether it's in industry, they might go into human resources. They're fantastic in sales or marketing roles because they understand how the mind works. They have strong communication skills. We've seen many of our psychology majors going into industry in a wide variety of roles and using those skills that they've developed in an impactful way for organizations. They might also go into nonprofit, right? So if they have a strong value system, and that's the reason that they chose psychology as a major, because they're what I call helping professionals. They want to make sure that the impact of what they're doing day in and day out, they can see and feel that impact. They might go work for our nonprofits. They might pursue a fellowship post-graduation. With some of our majors that might have a variety of different career options in front of them, what we work to do is educate them on not thinking just by major, because the vast majority of the organizations that we work with will hire many different majors and not just one. So getting students to understand that is something that we're consistently educating on. And if you can think of your own organizations, for some jobs like teaching or accounting or nursing, or maybe even computer science, you would hire a specific major because you're looking for a very kind of specific skill set, right? Or identified skill set. For a lot of other roles and opportunities, you're really looking for a right person for the role, and you're going to teach a lot of what they need to know beyond the skills that they already have. And so we're continuously educating, especially our first and second year students, to think beyond major if they're in majors that have a lot of opportunities in front of them, like a history major or an English major or a creative writing major, right? A creative writing major could go into work in PR, writing releases. They could go work in website design and development, creating content. There's really a wide variety of things that they can do beyond just what they might think of as, oh, no, I now need to go into a creative writing field. Now, if they wanted to go into a creative writing field, they could obviously work for a book publisher or become work for an agent and understand how the world of creative writing works when you're looking at published material. So it's a wide variety of opportunities for different majors. It really just depends on the student and where their interests lie. I'm looking at the questions here. Is full-time employment 80% in their field of study? It's in line with their career goals. So as I just mentioned, field of study and career goals might be exactly the same. An accounting major might say, I want to be an accountant, or field of study and career goals might be aligned in a way that doesn't look quite as vertically aligned, right? A psychology major might say, I want to go into human resources. This is where I see myself making my impact. Or they might say, I want to become a psychologist, right? So it's what we're looking at is career goals and how we want those students to find opportunities that align with their goals. And we hope they complement their major and the skills that they've developed while they're at Elon. All right, so a little bit more about the college to career program for our second pathway, just so you can see how we love for students to engage in this program, just to give them a direction, like we talked about earlier, a structure to their professional development. These pathways say, you know, have you thought about doing this first and then doing this second, this third, this fourth, right? Because they've never done this process before. That's one of what I have to remind both families and faculty is that this is an entirely new process to most students. The true professional development of applying for an internship, securing an internship, being a true professional in an organization or with a fellowship or in a research capacity, representing themselves as a professional, coming back to campus, having learned and benefited from that experience, made some determinations about where they see themselves in the future, and then do it again for a graduate application or job search process, right? So we're teaching the entirety of the process. We take that very seriously as educators, because this is a process they're not going to do just once. This is a process based on the research that they're going to do between 10 and 14 times before they retire. Right? So we have to teach them the fundamentals of how to best represent themselves in an application process, how to create great application materials, how to communicate in an interview now so they can continue to be successful, not just in their first role or just their application to graduate school, but in their second, in their third, and in their fourth, right? It's a learned skill that we want them to have for a lifetime. So that second pathway, like I said, that structure that says you should do this first, you should do this second, is that professional photo. Right now you have a LinkedIn account. Maybe it has an old photo on it from you from high school where, and a lot of our students, they've cut off the shoulder of somebody that they were standing next to, and you can tell that it's been edited. We want a professional photo that shows them well and shows them as a college student. A cover letter. At this point, we've been talking with our employers. About 50% of them still expect a cover letter, and those read the cover letter. So it's still an opportunity for a student to provide additional material to get in front of an employer that talks about them as an applicant. It's a skill that we want them to learn. Will the cover letter always be in existence in its current iteration? I don't know. I've been in career for over 15 years and is held strong through those 15 years. I expect that eventually it will find its way out, but it hasn't found its way out yet. So we want students to know how to write it. Continue with those informational interviews, engaging in professional conversations with alumni, with other professionals in the fields that they're interested in, really help them to start building their network. And we want them to attend an event, presentation, or workshop, right? They can select what that looks like, if it's a general career fair, or if it's one that's focused on an area that they want to learn more about, or an area that they see themselves going into. So we have a large career fair every year. We do it once a year, but then we have boutique fairs set up throughout campus in the spring and in the fall that are kind of meeting the needs of students in the spaces where they're at so that they can't miss us, right? So we have a boutique fair, a STEM meet and greet over in Founders Hall, where we're bringing in STEM employers and we're bringing them to the students so that when students come out of class or when students are in class, faculty can walk them downstairs and say, go ahead and introduce yourself to some of these employers and learn more about what they're looking for. Great chance for first and second year students to learn, to introduce themselves and to start to gain some networking contacts. And oftentimes the people that the employers send back to campus are alumni. So it makes the process less intimidating and more exciting for students to speak with alumni who are just a couple years before in their shoes. All right. Oh, I went backwards on that one. So let's talk a little bit about kind of overall what your student can do to, sorry about that. Overall, what your student can do to engage with our office. And this is a tip for all students, not just first and second year students, but really all students who are looking to go ahead and start working on that next step, who are focused on their professional development. What I say is the more we know a student, the better we can assist them. Right. So we are a highly relational school. We enjoy getting to know the students. There's nothing better than to hear a student come into our office and say, I got the internship, or, you know what, I got the application in and I've already heard about an interview. That's what we are here for. That's what drives our team. We talk about it at every one of our staff meetings. Student success is our values system here in the SPDC. We truly do what we do because we love to see the students find success in whatever that next step goal is for them. So if they come in often, make sure they're meeting with a career advisor in their respective school or in our main office. We want to help them continue to navigate a process that's entirely new to them or potentially entirely new to them in a way that we're coaching and providing them with feedback throughout the process and making sure they're representing themselves as best as possible. We have opportunities to engage for students to engage with the SPDC throughout campus. We are an opt-in resource on campus. We can't force students in our doors. We can make it really enticing for them to walk in. The college to career program that I talked about earlier does have rewards. If they finish a pathway, they get a reward. So we try to make it enticing for them to complete the pathways, not just because it's a good thing for them to do, because maybe they're excited to get $20 on their Phoenix gift card or their Phoenix card as a gift from the SPDC after they complete that first pathway. Any way that we can incentivize them to engage with us more, we're going to try our best to do it, and we can market out to them. Due to technology, the job and internship search process is constantly changing. I'm sure that you're seeing this at your organizations. COVID changed the way that people hire. Right, higher view and pre-recorded interviews are becoming a mainstay and a part of the process. And that's an entirely new skill set that we're having to teach students how to do what I'm doing today, which is to talk to a blank screen with very little feedback from the other side. And with a higher view interview, it's no feedback from the other side. So how do you do that in a way that you feel confident and that you're able to communicate clearly what that employer might be asking for? So really, we're teaching students not only how to interview, but how to be broadcasters. right? Because they're going to, depending on the organization they might be interviewing with, they're going to need to learn how to be broadcasters of information in a way that technology is going to accept it and potentially even grade it on the back end through AI before it gets in front of the recruiter. This process is new for students. We don't want it to be intimidating. That's why we bring them in for Elon 1010. We host an open house where we have ice cream and games and fun ways for them to engage in their professional development and see that we're here not just as the resume shop, but really as a partner in the work together to help them find success. So we want them to engage with us. We don't want them to be intimidated by the process. Oftentimes it does take a little bit of suggestion to get them in the door. And what we hope is that once they come in the door, they come back. And that's actually a number that we look at. And we are constantly tracking to make sure students come back, that they see the benefit of the time that they spent here and that they come back for more engagement and that they always leave our time in a one-on-one appointment with a next step in hand, right? So we ask, do you know what to do next? And do you have any questions? So that they feel confident they're going out with more information that they came in with and they know what that next step is. That's really important to us. The final thing is please encourage them to come. We would love to be able to help them. As I said, we work all summer. It's a crazy time for us right now. We're in that 4-week crunch before the end of the semester. So we're seeing students a good deal. We are doing workshops in classrooms. We're seeing our graduating students who are in various interview processes right now, depending on what their major is or what their career aspirations are. It's an exciting time always as we round out the end of the academic year, but we're ready to hit the ground running again as soon as they come back to campus in August and are happy to help with them throughout the summer as their needs arise. So, all right, so let me jump into these questions really quick. And make sure that I didn't leave anything out. Thank you guys. You talked about all these great places that you're from. Northeast is, as I mentioned earlier, New York is our #1 post-graduation location and internship location, followed by Boston, and then Charlotte, DC, and Raleigh. So South Florida, we actually sent career advisors down there every summer for internships. We had a career advisor down in South Florida and Central Florida last summer, and they visited 20 different students that were doing internships in Florida, South and Central Florida. So we definitely have internships in Florida and really great partners down in the state. In Texas as well, one of our career advisors just came back here from Houston, but just came back from Austin. Austin, Houston, Dallas are the 3 areas that we look at in Texas and that we're building more relationships with in that state. We have a career advisor that's heading out to Los Angeles this next week and one that's going to Nashville as well. So we're just, like I said, we're all over the major metropolitan areas, making sure that we're doing everything we can to bring great job opportunities back to campus. The question asked about 95% of the 84. Yes, 95% of the 84%. So 84% of students are in a job or that additional, and I have to look back at it, graduate school outcome, right? So when we ask the question, is this outcome, job or graduate school, related to your career goals? They say 95% of them say yes. Where I'm at is where I want to be. Right. And that may be graduate school for some, and it's going to be a job for others. It just depends on the student and where their overall goals are. Can the study abroad requirement be a part of the internship opportunity? That's a great question. And we do have a couple of study abroad programs that are internship embedded programs. The 2 off the top of my head are one in England and one in Dublin, where they actually, students as a part of their study abroad also complete an internship and they bring that internship credit back to campus. Those programs have been pre-approved for an internship credit by our internship directors who have vetted those internship providers and vetted that program to make sure those internships are credit worthy. But they would need to ask the study abroad office if the program that they're looking at has an internship embedded opportunity, because not all of them do, but those that do have been, and they need to ask if it's been pre-approved by the university to bring back their internship ELR. Provide the person for informational interviews. Yes, we're happy to provide networking contacts for informational interviews. What we'll most likely do, and as educators, is sit down with the student and say, you're interested in doing an informational interview, or I'd suggest you do an informational interview. Let's talk about what that means, right? What are some questions you might ask somebody that's in a career field that you're interested in? What do you really want to know about what they do every single day? We help them formulate questions. And then ideally, if they already have a LinkedIn account, we'll help them on LinkedIn to identify alumni, typically are an easy entry point for them because it's comfortable and it's familiar, to reach out to introduce themselves and ask if they can learn more about their work. Now, let's say that for whatever reason, they might be intimidated by that process. We're always happy to make an introduction, but I'd really love for the student to try on their own first with our guidance and coaching, because then the fulfillment, when they actually secure that informational interview and they have those questions ready, it builds confidence in their ability to do it again. Right? Because we want them to not just do this one time, but we want them to build confidence in doing it many times throughout their career, not just when they're here at Elon. A good example is I actually had a senior that I met with last year, who came in the spring and was very intimidated by the networking process, just felt like it was very inauthentic to reach out via LinkedIn, and really struggled with it. And so together, worked on a couple of outreach engagements and communication through LinkedIn. I said, let's just give it a shot. Let's just give it a try. And heard back from 3 of the 5 people they reached out to, and had some great conversations. The next time they came in 2 weeks later, they'd reached out to another 15, because the confidence they built and the benefit they saw from reaching out and learning how to do it empowered them to be able to do it without hesitation going forward. And that's really what we want, is we want them to be empowered with the skills so they can use them throughout their career, not just while they're here at Elon. Summer 2024 classes. I don't know about registration for summer 2024 classes. That's going to be a registrar or an academic advisor question. I know that we currently do have summer 24 internship registration open. So if you're asking specifically about internship registration, that's open right now. And students can register their internship for credit if they're completing an internship this summer. Should the first year advisor have encouraged or required a student to visit our center? Students are always encouraged. Faculty do a great job of encouraging. Advisors do a great job of encouraging. Other departments across campus encourage students to come here. They can't really require a student to come in here unless they're bringing them in for a class, which, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of our Elon 1010 professors, the vast majority of them, will bring their classes here for us. And that way students get to see a little bit more of who we are, what we have to offer, and take away that intimidation factor. We are open for the summer, and we do offer career services for a lifetime. Summer volunteering opportunities, it would just depend on what the student's looking for, right? If that volunteer opportunity is in line with where they want to go, and we have great contacts or ideas, we're never going to not work with a student, but absolutely would love to hear more about what volunteer opportunities they'd be interested in, and brainstorm ideas for how they might find those opportunities or introduce themselves to organizations that could have those opportunities. Summer after freshman year internships. This is a big question. It really depends on area of study, right? So I typically say is summer after freshman year is the last year for the students to do that part-time job, or to work at that camp, or to go home and really enjoy the summer as they maybe have for the past couple of years in high school. And that as we move into sophomore year, we might want to start looking for some experience that would more align with where they see themselves going in the future. There are some industries, namely in business, that's they're really starting to recruit earlier and earlier. So they may not do a internship the first year, but they might already start talking to organizations the summer after their first year, right? And that's particularly in accounting and finance, banking, specifically in finance. They just are recruiting really early, and they keep moving up the timetable on us. So the earlier that we can get students into our center, especially in those particular majors, the better they will find out about all the opportunities available to them and not miss a potential timeline that could be important to them, especially for highly competitive roles. Do we have career advisors who focus on specific fields? Our career advisors in their respective schools and in our main office have specialization areas. So all of us are generalists, and that we can help any student who walks in our door, but then we have depth in certain areas of focus. So our career advisors in the School of Communications will have more depth, and our comm majors, comm industries, and even have more knowledge about our comm employers and sport management employers in business. All of our different business partners and the College of Arts and Sciences, we more work by divisions, because there's 3 divisions within the College of Arts and Sciences. And so our career advisors will be aligned with a division and have a specialty area in that division. The nice thing is, once a student declares a major, they'll see the career advisor that's best aligned with them when they go into the Elon Job Network to make an appointment. So they'll see that information and they'll be kind of pushed towards that career advisor who has the depth of content and expertise in their area of study. All right, a couple more questions. And then if somebody has a question they need to raise their hand and ask out loud, let me know. Over the summer, let's say that you have a student that doesn't want to complete an internship, or just it doesn't have to complete an internship over the summer. I think making sure that they update their LinkedIn, if they don't have a LinkedIn, to have an appointment or meeting with us, to ask, do you have a resume? I'd love to see it. Has somebody looked at it at the Career Center? You could probably tell the difference between those resumes that have been seen by us and those resumes that haven't been seen by us. If you suspect that it hasn't, say, you know what, I heard the Career Services Office works all summer. Can you log into the Elon Job Network and make an appointment just to have your resume looked over? It seems like an easy thing for you to do and something that you could take off your plate for the fall once classes get busy and the semester gets busy. Let's go ahead and do that now. So if a student hasn't engaged with us, the summer is a wonderful time to do so, because we don't have as much demand on our time, and students can engage with us virtually. So they can make that appointment, and maybe through the course of that conversation, we start talking about informational interviews and hopefully inspire them to think about doing an informational interview over the summer, learning more about a field that they're interested in. Study abroad. If they're doing a study abroad in their junior year, like I said earlier, we can work with them while they're abroad, but we'd love for them to start, engaging as early as possible. I don't know if there's a steadfast rule to when they should engage with us, but really when they're ready. Every student is different developmentally. Some students come in very career focused and professionally minded. Some students need to have that time to explore and get those core classes under them. And some students really have explored, and they don't, into their junior year, they really start to solidify where they see themselves or where they want to go. All timelines are okay. All timelines we can work with. The biggest thing is that we want to work with you, right? We want to work with the student. All right. We are recording. Nursing, we work closely with our nursing program. We bring health systems onto campus. They came to our career fair, and we had in the fall a specific health event over in the Francis Center. So we're tapped into the health sciences and our nursing majors, and make sure that they're tracking towards where they want to go in the future. There's an abundance of opportunities in nursing. We want our students to be informed about what those opportunities are and how they can best align themselves with the opportunity that could be a good fit for them. And then a student, for registering their internship for credit, we're going to have an internship webinar. I'm going to go ahead and talk about their webinar with the internship directors. I think Will has marketed it out. It's also on the parent engagement website, where you can ask all internship specific questions to 2 of our internship directors, but they'll go into the Elon Job Network and they'll register their internship there. And our internship directors will be able to provide even more in-depth information about what that registration looks like at that webinar. I highly recommend attending. They're fantastic individuals, very student focused and student driven. And they do a wonderful job with students that are registering their internships, completing internships, and making sure they get the most out of the reflective component of the internship experience. Because we don't want them to just complete an internship. We want them to think about what they learned in the internship and what it means for their future. Whether they loved the internship or didn't, there's value in that reflection of seeing, how does this align with where I want to go in the future, or not align, and what did I learn about where I see myself if I don't see myself in this field or this internship. Yeah, I think that's all the major questions. Feel free to hang on. I'm looking at internship registration again. The internship for credit in the School of Business and the School of Communications, it's one of the requirements that they have for graduation. So if they have an internship this summer, they can go ahead and register it for credit. I think it's nice to do. And I think it gives them, like I said, that reflective experience on the internship. And for informational interviews, a student, make an appointment one-on-one with the career advisor, and let us know that they're interested in doing an informational interview, or just want to talk about what is an informational interview, or how do I even start that process. And the career advisor will help them walk walk them through what types of questions they might ask and identify outreach that they could do to set up an informational interview. And then ideally, if a student comes back in, debrief afterwards and say, what did you learn? What was surprising? What wasn't surprising? And what does this mean for your next steps? I thank you for being engaged parents and families. I thank you for being focused on professional development. It's what we're focused on every single day. We want our students to determine who they are and who they want to be while they're here, and then understand the skills that they have to bring out into the world. And that's all part of what we do, and that's all part of what you do. So we really work collaboratively in partnership, because we have the same goal, is for them to find success, whatever that success looks like to them. So thank you. If you want to hang on, or if I didn't answer your question specifically, please let me know. I am going to drop my email address in this chat so that everybody has it. Feel free, if you have a specific question that you would like answered about your student, I'll make sure to answer it or send it to a member of my team who can answer it even more in depth for you. Thank you.